Hi, everybody. I'm Leon Thomas. Welcome to another episode of Real Thoughts and Conversation, the show where we have open debate in a calm, civilized manner, where we don't yell, we don't scream, we don't walk in with talking points. We have good conversation around relevant and pressing issues. Today, we're going to have our second show on Roe versus Wade. That's what we're discussing tonight on Real Thoughts and Conversations. All right. Last week we had a show on Roe versus Wade, and we had some great comments, and folks wanted to watch this, have another episode on it. So we have some more guests with us today. We have Marlene Harvey and Aaron Lysek. Marlene, Aaron, let's bring them on the screen. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good.
All right. So I want you ladies to introduce yourselves. Tell them everything. Tell the audience everything you want them to know, and don't tell them anything that you don't want them to know. Marlene, you go first. Go ahead. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marlene Harvey. All my life, I've been opinionated. I knew life when abortion was illegal. Probably hadn't been thought of. I've known life when it was legal, and now we're back to it being illegal. So I have a lot to say. My brothers will tell you that I think I know everything, but I really don't. I just have an opinion, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
All right, great. It's good to have you with us, Marlene. Thank you. Thanks for being a guest on the show. Aaron Lysek, go ahead. Your turn. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Leon. My name is Erin, and I'm in my last year of law school. I am doing okay. I also work at our local civil law clinic where we help indigent people with minor civil things like divorces, custody, guardianship, powers of attorneys, et cetera, et cetera. I'm also very passionate about this subject, and something that I think is relevant for your audience to know is that several years ago, while I was minding my own business, I got pregnant while I was taking the Depo shot. It's supposed to be birth control that lasts for 3 months at a time. So I didn't expect to be pregnant. I found out when I was pretty far in, about 16 weeks. And I had just found out that I was having a girl when I went into premature labor, where I had my daughter at 25 weeks gestation, weighing 1.11 pounds. She was in the NICU for approximately 176 days. After that, we were out and in the hospital several times, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months. She came home with me on a ventilator, G-tube, Broviac catheter, several other complicated medical devices for 5 years. Unfortunately, this experience had me learn several medical stuff that I never wanted to know about. So that's my story, and that's why I'm here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. And audience, I want you to notice there's a disclaimer at the bottom of the screen. Aaron says that all of her views, all of my views are her own and not reflective of any of my employers or her law school. You will see that from time to time right here on the screen. That's why we're going to run that. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take turns. I'm going to give Marlene, you get the first question, then Aaron, you can answer, and then Aaron, for the next round, you go first. So we're going to go back and forth on who goes first. And this question is like the big one of the show anyway. Marlene, what's your position? What did you think about overturning Roe versus Wade? What are your thoughts about that?
My first thought was hide the metal coat hangers. I grew up in an era before, like I said, before abortion was legal. When I was in high school, sometimes a girl would disappear and maybe her mother would come back with this baby or she'd be sent to boarding school or whatever. Before then, women have had abortion since the beginning of time. Sometimes it was your girlfriend and took you into the back room, or maybe a nurse or whatever. But women died, serious infections. Then we had Roe v. Wade. Abortion was legal. And whether I thought it was good or bad, at least it was legal and it was safe. Now we are back to abortions being illegal. And I fear, because nowadays, I guess people can just go on the internet and get instructions. So I'm very, I don't think it was a good idea. And precedent had been set for 50 years. So my opinion is that it was not a good idea to overturn Roe v. Wade.
All right. There's Marlene's opinion. Let's bring Aaron on. Let's get Aaron's thoughts on this. Aaron, what are your thoughts on Roe versus Wade being overturned? Go ahead, Aaron.
I just also want to say that I'm privileged to be on your show with Marlene. I was sick to my stomach and thought about giving up law school and going back to work for hotels. That's the gist of it. So I was sick. Roe versus Wade established about 50 years worth of precedent in our court system that established the right to privacy. The word privacy and our right to privacy is not in our Constitution. It's laws that established this. Several laws, like our right to private health care, interracial marriage, same-sex marriage, all based upon the right to privacy. So the sliding scale and what this could do to several things and have several implications is far-reaching. That's all I got for that one.
Okay. All right. Understood. Now, here's something that I want the audience to know. Both Marlene and Aaron, you heard them say that they don't like Roe versus Wade being overturned. I reached out to 11 pro-life organizations and told them about the show and asked them to send a representative on the show. I got 4 responses of no, not interested, can't make it, we don't want to do it, and the rest were crickets. Also, this week, I participated in several extended battles on social media. You know, you respond to a post and someone says you're stupid, someone says you're crazy. You guys have done that. You've seen those things before, right? I participated in those with folks that said in writing, and I'm doing this because it's probably on their phone, that they think overturning Roe versus Wade was a good thing. And I said, come on the show and talk about it. Answer, oh no, I don't want to go public with my opinion. Well, you just wrote about it on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever. Why not do it? So no one would do it. Now, if you're watching the show and you are pro-life, or Aaron or Marlene says something that you disagree with, put it in the chat. Make a comment. We'll show it, and you will enhance the conversation. So let's go to Aaron. Aaron, you've told us about the background with your daughter and everything, and some of the things that help make your opinion. You also mentioned, though, that it seems like that could open the door. This change could open the door to some other things like interracial marriage and some other things. Give us some more information about that and why you fear that could happen.
Well, I've been hearing the argument that the federal government should stay out of states' business a lot in regards to this particular, that's like seeming a go-to neutral argument. And so the problem with that is also precedent. Like I want to go back to like the Civil War. Like, so without the federal government, slavery was happening. Brown versus the Board of Education allowed Black people to enter school. Some states were not going to do that, like on their own. Just like we're seeing right now. Some states have already outlawed abortion completely at the heartbeat stage, which is like cells pulsating. So anyway, there's already been a 10-year-old girl that's been raped in Ohio that had to travel to Indiana to get an abortion. 10-year-old. Court went letter. Ohio said it was an opportunity for her. Okay. And it's not disclosed in any of the articles, but I'm going to highly suspect that this 10-year-old girl was probably Caucasian. Why? Because of the expense and the hoops that her doctor went through in order to get her to Indiana. So going back to the sliding scale, employee rights. Companies are known to take advantage of employees, and without federal regulation, woof, that's off the charts. Going a little bit back to privacy, I don't really think America wants their private health broadcasted to the world. Unfortunately, the overturning of Roe versus Wade have forced women to tell their abortion stories and to come public with their hard medical situation that they're facing. And again, this causes a disproportionate problem because Caucasian people have more money and access to healthcare. African Americans and minorities do not have as much access or funds to access medical care. So hence the disproportionate rate that this will affect have on African American people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Now, Marlene, let's talk to you about some of those same topics. Marlene, when we think about abortion, we think about the other things that may open up for that, interracial marriage, and other things that I've mentioned. Aaron, offer your comments. Do you have any concerns about that? And also respond to some of the things that Aaron talked about in terms of the young lady in Indiana, Ohio, and other things like that. What else do you see happening here, Marlene?
Well, there's some fallacies that go along with this idea of abortion. One of them is that women use abortion as birth control. I don't think people realize this is the decision that goes into having an abortion, first of all. But second of all, it's not easy on your body. Nobody is doing that. Now, then there's another fallacy or talking point that a certain political group is they want to outlaw abortions because in the year, I think 2050, white people will be a minority. So if they can stop white women from having abortions, then more white babies will be born. And just a lot of things that we really just need to talk about, we need to explore. For a woman to have an abortion is so personal, it's so private, it's so gut-wrenching. It just amazes me that men can make this decision about a woman and her body. I think that's what's most amazing of all, that they are having so much input into a decision that they can never experience. They can't think about it. They don't have the hormones we have. They don't have the thoughts that we have. So for them to overturn Roe v. Wade, it's just, I just don't understand, and I'm quite sure a lot of people don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you both, and we'll start with Marlene on your answer to this one. There have been many companies that have come out and made statements that said, if abortion is not legal in the state that our employees work in, that we're going to pay for our employee to travel to the closest state that abortion is legalized in. What are your thoughts on that happening, Marlene? And then Aaron will come to you next.
I think it's a good idea. I think that it's a personal decision, and if there's a way that you can execute your own personal decision, if it means going to another state, I think that is a good idea. I think that at this point, you don't have much choice. The heartache, the pain, the physical discomfort, everything is the same, no matter what state you're in. So I think to be able to travel to another state, this is the United States of America. So I think to be able to travel to another state. I think where the problem is going to come in is that now they're going to say, did you establish residence? That kind of thing. Those little issues will come up. And then you have the issues of someone helping somebody go to another state or funding somebody to go to another state. But otherwise, I don't know what choice a woman has except to go elsewhere.
Okay. Aaron, what are your thoughts on that? On employers paying for their employees to travel for abortion? What are your thoughts on that, Aaron?
Ooh.
I saw this. That must mean it's happening. Go ahead.
So it makes my law school brain go bah, 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 about like how it could be done. But it could be and can be done. Companies right now help employees with in vitro fertilization. So employees currently help women travel to, and men travel to different states that offer specialized fertility treatments. And this is done by having that good old healthcare account. And so basically that's one of the ways to do it. Cutting a check is another way. It brings up many problems though, such as now, does the woman have to like tell her company that she's having an abortion? What are the ramifications of a woman telling, knowing the company knowing that a woman had an abortion? Does a third party have to be used to make these things happen? Some of the concerns that Marlene brought up, meaning like civil liabilities for people who help other people travel from state to state, could be an issue, but less of an issue because our government seems to care way more about property and money, and interstate commerce is a thing. So it's very well hard to regulate someone traveling to another state to get a service that's provided in that state. And so that would be more difficult to regulate, but those civil lawsuits will be there. They'll again be tried. And then these policies will absolutely, again, disproportionately affect the African American and minority population, because most likely the people who are working for these types of companies, which are Fortune 500 companies currently doing it and stepping up to the plate to become leaders in this, or to attempt to become leaders, which they should be commended for, but still probably more Caucasians will have access to these benefits than African Americans will, or minorities.
Mm-hmm. And Marlene and Aaron, just to follow up on that, one of the things that I'm concerned about when it comes to companies paying for this, one of the concerns I have is, and here's the example of it, if the person that I need to talk to in HR is pro-life,
Mm-hmm.
and I say, I need to take I wouldn't say it, but my wife, my girlfriend, whoever says, I need to take some time off to have an abortion. I need to travel here to do that. How does that supervisor, how does that manager look at me? Are they going to look at me or that woman differently then? Because they know so much. And that's the issue. One of the questions that I have is, not that they're doing it. I applaud them for wanting to do something, but I'm concerned about what the details of that look like. Have either of you heard any company policies about how that's going to be administered? Aaron, what have you heard?
I don't think that it's going to end up that someone's going to go directly to their HR staff. It's probably going to happen initially, but hopefully that won't be the case. But again, that just makes my head explode with all the ramifications that literally you just talked about. I think what's going to be more likely is that there will be an anonymous third party involved, and that the company won't even know why you're leaving. You could be having a cancer treatment. You could be getting fertilization treatment. You could be having another medical procedure done. It's probably the best way to do it is going to remove the employer from the knowledge that you're having an abortion.
Okay. And Marlene, what are your thoughts about that? How have you heard anything about how they're going to administer it? What are your thoughts on it?
I haven't heard anything specifically, but you know what is funny because one question leads to another. Now we're talking about HR. Is there ever going to be a situation where maybe the male who impregnated the woman can he file a civil suit if a woman has an abortion? Is that person in personnel who's pro-life will she talk about it? I mean, you have a way of letting things out without being specifically being the author of it, I should say. So I think one question just leads to another, and when they overturned Roe v. Wade, I don't think they thought about, it was one decision, but I mean, it's just going to go on and on and on. And I guess we can't even think of all the scenarios that really could go on with this decision.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the whole idea of overturning it, they've been talking about it forever. When the 3 or 4 most recent Supreme Court nominees were brought in before Congress, and all the questions and answers and everything, we all could see it, where this was going, that the court was getting stacked. So what do we need to do now to get us back to reversing the overturn? Can it be done? How do we do it? Do we need to stack the court? What's the plan? What should be the game plan moving forward? Marlene, let's go to you first.
The only thing that I can think of that I don't even know whether you call it short term would be to change the amount of Supreme Court justices that are on the Supreme Court. We started out with 6. But when the country was started, we only had 6. And at some point they decided there should be 9. So I guess at some point they could decide there could be 11 or maybe 13. That would be maybe one immediate thing to do. But actually, we don't have a lot of time before the elections come up again. So short term, I'm not sure that, we heard about the possibility of Roe v. Wade being overturned. I'm not sure people believed it was going to happen. And I guess I don't know if it would have made a difference or not, but I don't think in the short term, I'm not sure that there's anything that can be done except to go around it, go from state to state, and of course, the local elections are going to be or will be important. And then that takes time. So I'm not really sure that in the near future, there will be a change.
Mm-hmm. Aaron, while Marlene was making some of those comments, I saw your head shaking. Go ahead.
She's correct. We need everyone to vote in primary elections. We need women on the Republican side to cross lines to protect women's rights. We need Republican and independent voters to vote correctly. We need them to be reminded that the candidates are human. They're going to have problems. They're going to stutter. They're going to have some skeletons in their closet. We're not perfect, but we need to get out there and vote in line with Democrats. The other thing that can be done is states can start to immediately codify the right to an abortion. Mm-hmm. And I've been thinking about the argument of our right to life. We do have the right to life that's listed in our Constitution, and this is actually affecting a mother's right to life. For example, aggressive cancers can't be treated in the first trimester because let me get my thoughts straight. So aggressive cancer can't be treated when a person's in their first trimester. Is a mother supposed to wait and die from cancer? No. There's several medical situations where a mother's life is at risk. For example, there's already been a case where a mother that was pregnant at a stage of 24 weeks has a fetus in her that is continuously having seizures nonstop. The mother can feel it seizuring in her womb. She was not allowed to have an abortion. She is now having to carry that baby at a very high risk to her, or again travel out of state. And we need one of the Supreme Court to pick up a case which a mother's life is absolutely at risk. So we go back to a precedent, and at least where we have always an access to an abortion at that stage, like that's fundamental. So then we need the voting and everything to happen so that we can codify in Congress and pass it through the Senate and have the president sign it, that abortion is a right, just like Canada did in the United States. Oh, several other countries, by the way, not a lot of countries prohibit abortion. It's like third world countries. So
Okay.
we're sliding backwards.
Right. Going backwards. Now, here's the thing. So many people are so passionate about this subject on either side, right? There's folks that are pro-life, and they say things about those that are pro-choice, and there are those that are really, really strong that are pro-choice, and they say things that are pro-lifers, that pro-lifers don't like. Is there a middle ground for this? Is there a way for everyone to meet in the middle that's going to make everyone happy?
We literally had that up until 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Like
Marlene?
abortion, like 21, 22 week abortions needed to be done like under doctor's approval. They don't just do third trimester abortions frivolously. A woman that's in that stage of pregnancy usually has a nursery, names, wanted the baby. So no, there's no middle ground. We need to go back to at least exactly what it was before. 3 weeks ago, there are still states that like you have to travel hundreds of miles to get an abortion because there's one abortion clinic in it. Can you at least leave that abortion clinic alone?
Right. Right.
Go ahead, Marlene. Is there a middle ground? Go ahead.
I don't think there is. It's either, it's either or. And I don't think people who are who are pro-life are ever going to find a reason for a woman to have an abortion. And I don't think people who believe in abortions up to a certain, none of us, I don't think, want a woman to have an abortion when a baby's about ready to, come out and, is viable and able to live on its own.
Wasn't.
But I don't think there's a middle ground. I don't think there's a middle ground. It's gotten so political until I don't think anybody's going to give in. And then I hate to be sexist, but these are men making these decisions. And sometimes I just don't think they have, they understand.
They don't. They have no idea what a woman's body goes through. They have no idea. Men don't even know that women take birth control for other reasons than to not have babies.
Right.
For several reasons. We could go on a show for 12 hours to discuss medical reasons regarding pregnant women that men have no clue about. I didn't even have a clue about, and I'm a woman until this situation happened. It's no.
Now, the reason I asked about middle ground, in one of the discussion forums that I was in this week, one of the participants there said, there's left, there's right, we need to find a way to meet in the middle on several issues. And he talked about voter rights, and he talked about abortion. And I'm thinking, a middle ground on voter rights? What do you mean middle ground? And some others challenged him on the abortion piece. And there were folks saying, yeah, we need to think about it, we need to try. And I couldn't think of, what's the middle? Either yes, you're going to allow the women to make the decisions, or you're not. There's no middle ground in this. I just could not understand where they were going with that. So here's the final piece we want to talk about. And here's the question. If someone is pro life and they say to you abortion should never happen, I don't care what happens, rape, incest, whatever, a life is a life. Every life comes from God. You can't take that life away. Humans can't do that. It's a gift. And my organization supports this and so forth and so on. What do you say to them in response? How do you respond to that? How have you responded to them? Marlene, you go ahead first, and then Aaron, we'll hear from you. Go ahead, Marlene.
Well, those of us who are who religious and study Christianity, we know the passage in the Bible about where God knows us before we are formed in the womb. So I think we've all heard that. The only thing we can say is that it is a woman's right. Women have had abortions since the beginning of time. They're going to always have abortions. So I think that what I would say is that is life, and that's the secret between that woman and God. If she has an abortion, he'll know it, and that's a personal decision, that there's nothing that an outside person can decide or have an opinion about, because that is between that woman and God. He knows it, he sees it, and that's how I would answer.
Aaron, how would you respond to someone on that very same topic? Go ahead.
Lately, I've been hung up on something my friend called today the law of unintended consequences. So I'd ask them, do they understand how not having the right to abortion affects people who actually want to have kids, such as in vitro fertilization? There's something called selective reduction. Several times that when a mother is attempting to have a kid, several fetuses are implanted into her womb, and several of them become viable, and the mother needs to get it down to one or two so she can actually have a baby, because having 6 kids usually ends up having very sick, unhealthy, or dead children. The mortality rate is extremely high. There's something called pre-implantation genetic testing, where a doctor will take a embryo, implant it into a mother's womb, leave it there for a while, remove it, and then test it, because the mother has serious genetic disorders that she doesn't want to pass down to her children. So, and I mean serious genetic disorders. She doesn't present them, but she knows that they're in her genes, and she wants to make sure that the child that she carries isn't going to have them. This is the Roe versus Wade has now ended selective reduction in several states, and doctors wonder if they can do pre-implant genetic testing. And so I also want to know about their thoughts and silence on the 400,000 embryos that are currently in storage, and that 1.7 million embryos are discarded by those facilities on a yearly basis because the parents don't want to have kids anymore, or they died, or they got a divorce, or for whatever reason. So I want to hear how an embryo in a petri dish is different than any other embryo. So what are we doing with that? And why are you getting into the business of people who want to have children, and your consequence for them is now they cannot do it, or you're adding a serious extra expense, like a person who's already mortgaged their home and has liens on their home to an attempt to have a baby, now has to fly to another state to have a selective reduction surgery. So you just added $6,000.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I want to do for the next 2 minutes. I'm stepping away. I'm going to give the floor to Aaron first, and then Marlene. You both will have 1 minute, 15 seconds. Say it all. Bring it. You are not in favor of overturning Roe versus Wade. Go ahead and say everything that's on your mind about it. You both have 1 minute, 15 seconds. Aaron, you're up.
So I think I did cover most of the medical stuff that I wanted to cover, but I could go on for hours and hours and hours about the different medical reasons why you should be able to have access to abortion. But some of the other reasons is that the government should stay out of my bedroom. I talked about that. I'm involved in an interracial relationship. It's none of the government's business. I think that most of America feels that way. I talked about that this case is one of our fundamental cases that established the right to privacy. Three, the risks to women are unfathomable. Marlene has gotten into some of them. Women are murdered because they get pregnant. Women are beaten by their male counterparts to get rid of that baby. Now, in some states, rapists literally get to pick the mother of their children. De facto, men can now walk around those states, decide to rape women, try to get them pregnant, and even in some of those overlapping states, those states give rapists parental and custody rights. This is not acceptable. I want to also address that the crime rate is directly related to the outlaw or the abortion. 20 to 40% down. 40,000 kids in foster care.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. Marlene, minute 15 seconds. You're up starting right now.
The first thing I can say is ditto to Aaron. I think more than anything, I am frightened. Women are going to have abortions. It's happened since the beginning of the time. It is not going to stop. The question is it legal versus illegal, safe versus unsafe? And, I'm at that age now where I can say, I can talk about the generations. This generation of women are not, they're not going to stop having abortions. And they're probably even, who knows, may even get good at it. Who knows? So I am more frightened of this decision, I think, than anything. And I know there are a lot of legalities and things that we'll have to go through and procedures and this and that. But just the basic human cost of a woman not having the right to have an abortion, to me, is I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. And especially if it grows, if the decisions grow and, politics are still involved in it, then I am frightened.
Okay. Folks, listen, I just got a text message from someone who said, how do I become a guest on the show? I'd like to be involved in this conversation. Now, I'm not going to give you the person's name, but I will say this. They follow me on LinkedIn. They follow me on Facebook. They had to see the announcement saying, I'd like you to come on the show. They didn't. This person happens to be very strong pro-life. So It would have been great to have them on to plead their case right here. I have a feeling that I know for sure both of you would have given them the old 1-2 knockout, though. But so maybe it was good that they weren't here. Listen, I want to thank you both, Aaron, Marlene. Thank you both for being here, for expressing your opinions, for being a part of the second Roe versus Wade and other things conversation. Thank you so much for being with us, Aaron and Marlene. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Leon Thomas. I'm the host of Real Thoughts and Conversation. We come right here and have civilized debate and civilized exchange of ideas about topics that are on your mind, topics that are pressing, topics that are sometimes controversial. We discuss them right here on Real Thoughts and Conversation. You can learn more about our company. That's the Leon Thomas Group. Learn more about the things that we do and find out some more about the other shows that we have by going to the leonthomasgroup.com. One more thing. I want you to make sure that you watch this Sunday 60 Minutes in Black America. You can find it on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, 60 Minutes in Black America. And you can also see 60 Minutes in Black America on blackusa.news. Here's why I want you to watch. Jasmine Pollock is an intern with the Leon Thomas Group. She has her own sports show that comes on Mondays at 9. Jasmine will be the special guest host on 60 Minutes in Black America. That's this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm Leon Thomas. Thanks for watching Real Thoughts and Conversations.